Welcome, everyone. You were listening to and perhaps watching Hot Sauce Sports. That smile from my co-host Terry Tam is the look of surprise whenever I get one of these introductions right. We haven't been in studio for a little while now because of lockdown regulations in our area. Many of you have decided to keep referencing the terrible camera angle that I was using. Congratulations, I'm not in studio, I'm in my house, and my producer refuses to come set it up for me because of
I was there last week. I dropped off Christmas presents when you weren't home.
Public health. You see, you only come by when I'm not home, though. Thank you, by the way, Eagle. It was very much appreciated. You got to try out my futuristic lock where I can let you in from a distance. I let Eagle to my house remotely, Terry. It was a bit of a terrifying idea because I was like, did I write anything terrible about him and leave it around? Like
just on a paper. I hate Eagle.
Like,
he's a piece of shit.
You, Eagle, and then no, not at all.
But the thing is, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary. You know? That's
true. It would just be a regular day, and it was all but regular this past Christmas. I want to ask you guys a little bit about how your quarantine Christmas was before we get into our show today. And this is our last show of the year, last show of I think it's undisputable. This has been the most challenging year for every single person, not only with, in Hot Sauce Sports, but in the world, right? Just with the amount of things going on. We're going to celebrate how absolute shit this year was. While I'm kind of annoyed by seeing all the memes and stuff, I said, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just sink into the terribleness. But how was your lockdown Christmas, Terry?
My lockdown Christmas was no other than any other Christmas. We may or may not have gone together and eaten.
Right, I see it.
I will neither confirm or deny these allegations.
We did the absolute lockdown thing. My parents came by just to exchange gifts outside and have a glass of Prosecco. I think I mentioned on the show before, my mom and my grandmother are both immune compromised, so we're above careful. We have to be. It's just they're more at risk than most people, so we need to be careful for their sakes. But it was interesting. One of the things that I noticed was I didn't make less food. I then just had to deliver a lot of food around the city to family members who couldn't be at my home for Christmas.
That's
we
crazy.
usually have about 30 people over at my Christmas party.
You don't host. You make the same amount of food, and you probably have the same amount of dishes to wash after.
Oh, 100%. Dude, it took us about 4 hours to clean the kitchen the next day, and I was just like, but we're just 3 people in my home.
4 hours? What do you do?
Dude, I made a full leg of pork. It was 22 pounds of pork, my guy. And I did that. I did seafood salad. It was a 5-course meal. Everything prepared from scratch, from sauces to desserts, everything absolutely top to bottom.
See, you do Christmas and the holidays properly. I mean, you get innovative in the kitchen, and as much as I like the old style, I hate turkey. I don't even like turkey. I think it's the worst animal to eat.
You got to come over next Thanksgiving. I'll fix your
dry.
Turkey. You're going to be like, my God, Peas, your turkey is the moistest thing I've ever tasted. I wish vaginas were as moist as your turkey.
So I like the dinner. The food my uncle usually cooks, my uncle and my aunt. So I like what they cook, but it gets to a point where it's like, what's different here? It's always the same thing over and over again. I mean, I want to be innovative. Maybe throw a little pork in there. Maybe throw I don't know, some burgers, some sliders. I don't know.
What's cool for us is we're Italian and my wife is Colombian, so we get to mix a lot of our traditions, and it kind of gets the depth of dishes out. So you're still doing something traditional, but it's different to let's say when I brought the pork over to my family, that was a Colombian style pork leg. They never had it that way. For us, that cut is only for prosciutto. So it's kind of cool that way. And then similarly, their family is just like, what do you mean a salad with 7 fish in it? Well, that's a big thing for us.
7 fish? How many fish? Yeah. There's only 6 fish in the world.
I thought so too. But then I added cuttlefish. So.
What's a cuttlefish? Do you have to hug it before you?
It's the cutest one.
It's the cutest one. Okay, cool.
It's like a cutfish, but tastier.
How was your quarantine Christmas?
Oh, no, Eagle said something and I want to hear.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's like a cuckfish, but different.
It is.
Eagle would be the cuttlefish. Okay, if you were a fish, what kind of fish would you be?
Um, During the holidays, those actually no, I would be exactly this fish because during the holidays and after the holidays, I'm basically the same person. I'm the blowfish, so I inflate at different times of the year and then deflate, and like every time you see me, I'm a different weight. So I'm absolutely a blowfish.
And you're also full of poison, so nobody can
It's
fuck with
true,
you.
venom and poison.
What kind of fish would Duke be?
Duke is an absolute lobster because anytime he gets any
That's not
sun
a fish.
whatsoever, what?
That's not a fish. That's a
Okay,
crustacean.
fine. A red
Ah, fuck,
snapper.
eagle
Because
and
of
his
the redness.
technicalities.
There's fish inside of a lobster, though.
What would Alex the intern fish be?
What's the most annoying fish? Oh. If you're a fisherman, you know this. Rock bass. Rock bass taste like absolute garbage. They're useless and they bite everything. If you're fishing with like worms or anything that's like organic matter, you're gonna catch 1,000 rock bass. You're gonna throw them all back, and they're gonna eat up all of your worms. Like you will have spent $20 on worms and they're all gone.
I was gonna go with tilapia because he's a bottom feeder.
Not bad. Not
Oh,
bad.
Tilapia's a good one.
What about Eags? What fish are you?
I think Eag's a cuttlefish. He's cute.
I was gonna go with I was gonna go with a big tuna.
Oh, I was gonna
I'm a
take big
master.
tuna.
No, fuck you. I'm taking tuna. That's why you
Eagle-
asked me the question because I can steal your shit. See,
Eagle-
I'm a tuna already, dominating the waters.
Dominating the waters.
Well, because if you've seen the big tuna between his legs, you'd know.
I think I'd be a cod because I'm fluffy and very tasty.
We do deep fried cod. It's a big thing for us.
Oh, I try
So,
that.
I do
We
cod
would
salad
deep fry
too.
it.
Yeah, it's very good.
Not cob.
Cod,
Cod.
bacala, durka durka.
What's a cob?
There's a cob salad.
That there is. Not entirely relevant to what we're talking about, but perhaps something we'll talk about in the news.
Imagine all our news is just about fish. We should do that in an episode. Just pick a storyline and just do all our news based on that. Like
How it affects fish?
or like traffic jams, and then we just do a whole episode on different traffic jams from different cities and how they affected. The
If
people.
if traffic behaved like fish in school swimming through the water, there'd be no
We'd never have
traffic.
traffic. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. We're dumber than fish. How do we get to this point?
Traffic is always started by one idiot that slams his brakes.
Yeah, Terry. Stop forgetting about filling in your car and losing gas on the highway.
Yeah, it's true. That's a good point, Eagle.
I hope my girlfriend doesn't hear you say that. I ran out of gas 4 times this year.
It's never
This
happened to me in
year?
my life.
This year, and it's the first time ever in my life.
It's
But you
it's
did it
never
4
happened to me
times!
because Eagle always keeps the tank full, and so he always gets me where I'm going.
No, it's because my I got a new car this year, and it's a massive SUV. And I used to have cars where it's like your distances, but I hadn't learned the distances in a while. And there's twice where I was actually on my way to the gas station. There was one time I was on my way to golf, and as I'm on the 15, I'm going like an hour north, and I look at my gas tank, I'm like, oh fuck. So as I'm getting off the highway, I ran out of gas. And then as soon as I called the guys that I was playing golf with, they blew right by me. I was like, you guys got to get off, get gas, bring it back. So they gave me $10 of gas. I went, I filled it up, and I got to I got to my tee time. Teamwork.
Did they rip off you guys with the? Cause often when they make you buy the gas can.
Well, they had to
it
because they
costs
didn't
like
have
$30.
the gas. No,
What?
it's like $10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, I think that's a good appropriate time for me to tell you, Terry, it's the news.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm never gonna forget because it's the only thing I have in my notes. Um,
You
so
actually put it in there?
no, I don't.
Oh, okay.
You can see it.
Oh, okay. I thought you had separate notes.
I do though, but yeah, I don't put that. The Bucks gave us a holiday beatdown. I kind of liked, by the way, having a Christmas game this year, but we'll talk about that in just a sec. But the first game I could think of while writing up the script was Bucks beating up on Lions. The Lions had basically no coaches because everything, their entire staff was affected by COVID, and contact tracing and all that. And it made me realize how many times you listen to like local sports media and people call in and talk about how they could do a better job as the coach. This is what it looked like if like someone won a contest to be the coach of the Detroit Lions, and it makes you realize how bad they've been. Yep, if the annoying Detroit Lions fans got their way, they could be much, much worse.
I love how you say you won a contest to be the Detroit Lions. I feel like it's more of a prison sentence to be the coach of the Detroit Lions, and it's just they're becoming irrelevant. You know, it used to be where the Detroit Lions were like, oh, okay, you know what? They play tough. They've always had a good D. You know,
Matt Stafford, he's capable quarterback.
Yeah, he's grinder. He's a grinder. You know, like he's entertaining. Like he dislocates his shoulder, still plays. You know, like there's all these weird storylines. Barry Sanders, like they have a good history, but it's gone to the point now, and I think Matt Patricia did it to them, where they became like completely irrelevant, and I don't think anybody cares about the Lions, no matter if they win a game or not. Oh, look at this surprise!
This isn't Pornhub.
Says you.
What's up, boys?
What's going on? We're talking about how bad the Lions are.
Wow. You guys really have nothing else to talk about, eh?
That's what I was just saying, how irrelevant they've become. And that's
irrelevant? They've been irrelevant for a long time. It's kind of sucks for Stafford, though.
Well, that's what Pease was saying, but that's the thing I'm saying is that they were a team that, you know, they always had a good D, you know, they were kind of tough to play against, they were entertaining to like it was always like if you looked at them on your pick 'em and you're like, you know, the Lions might be able to show up this week, but nobody says that anymore about the Lions.
For anyone wondering who the random voice is, we are joined by Duke, the graphic designer. Thanks, Pease, for introducing
him. What's up, boys?
Well, I didn't get a chance to speak because of these two idiots.
What's up, boys?
What do you want?
Last one of the year? How's it going?
Last one of the year.
Last one of the year. Duke is on. I mean, we should have got everybody on for this one.
Yeah, but I mean, this is basically everyone, so let's go with that. Yeah, no, I mean, just it was one of those games where it's perfect because you know, if you want to take a nap at halftime, wake up with about 5 minutes left and see that the Bucks are still beating up on the Lions, it's a good spot to be in. One thing that was interesting to me was at one point it came up that this was the first time the Bucks made it to the playoffs since 2007, and the first time the Patriots don't make it to the playoffs since 2006. And it makes you realize, man, so Tom Brady can really just turn around a franchise in like a second, right? Because we don't think the Bucks as a shitty team because they even like with the Jameis Winston years, they were at least fun to watch and there's a lot of talent, and they just, I guess, never made it to the playoffs, which I didn't realize.
The thing is that okay, are we gonna jump into the Belichick Brady comparison now? Sure. So Brady turned around that franchise. Yeah, their offense is great, all that stuff. But yeah, he did things. He did something that we didn't think. I didn't think the Bucks were going to make the playoffs this year. I also thought the season could be completely different. So I thought the Saints would have a much better season, but Drew Brees going down, all that shit. But if I look, I can't just say that Brady was the reason why they were so successful. But I can say that he was a major part of why Belichick was able to game plan so well.
So, look, nothing is as simple as it's X or it's Y. But the thing is, like, it seems weird that people always want to cast doubt upon the greatest quarterback of all time. Sure, Belichick did the great coach thing of putting him in positions for success, but that's what you want from a coach. That should be the baseline of what you want from your coach. And it doesn't mean Brady would never have been terrible because he's, if not the greatest of all time, one of the greatest of all time. So it doesn't matter. It definitely helps, but it's not like he would have been a terrible quarterback without it. Maybe he ends up in Aaron Rodgers' situation where he's not surrounded and he wins a championship or two and it's not the sixth, but whatever. He's still going to be one of the greatest we've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no, I think he's the greatest we've ever seen.
But I want to talk about a more interesting quarterback situation, and this is one I think Duke can weigh in on very heavily.
Yeah,
Dwayne Haskins. He gets cut from the Washington football team, but I don't know if this is appropriate because I was just assuming, and the way we ended the show last week was I said, well, you know, the strippers are probably just in his bubble.
That's a good point.
Okay, so the way I look at it is kind of like this. It kind of gave Washington an out, gave them an excuse. It was a poor excuse. I don't feel like it's okay to be cutting a guy for making a mistake. I think that sometimes, young quarterbacks they tend to be on like a really, really like thin rope, I guess, with management. And I also never felt like Ron Rivera really wanted him as his quarterback. That being said, I still think Dwayne Haskins has a lot of talent. I still think that in the right system he can be good. The thing I do have to say though, and after hearing Booger McFarland kind of rip him to shreds on ESPN recently, there are some things I feel like he needs to learn from it. I think it's completely irresponsible in this time to be doing things like that. But that being said, he's a young player. He's going to make mistakes. Just that there's a lot on the line for the NFL right now. I mean, not to sound like Tom Cruise and start yelling at everybody about it, but like a lot of livelihoods are on the line. I mean, if he gets COVID, brings him to the team, it can really send the whole team into a pitfall, especially when there's a playoffs on the line. So, not totally happy that he got cut.
One, Tom Cruise is right. Because he's like 70 years old and he's got a limited window to make Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah.
You can't be having NFL level delays if you're filming Mission Impossible. Don't take Mission Impossible away from me. We need more of it, not less of it. So I'm with.
He already took away James Bond,
Yeah, but with regards to Dwayne Haskins, the thing is that look. I actually haven't been able to find the information as to whether or not they can actually void his contract for this. The NFL is a bit more secretive with the contract terms than the NBA is, for example. So I would suspect that part of it was a financial incentive because they know they're not bringing him back next year.
Well, they're trying to not pay him, right? They're trying to not pay his guaranteed money.
Yeah, if look, what's probably going to happen is they're going to try and void it. He's going to say no, and then they're going to go to court and settle an amount that's going to be somewhere in between what they owed him and the $0 they want to pay him.
What the problem is that they're trying to not pay him. It's just a business. They want to keep the money for something else. I get that, but we're too quick to judge the player. Where this kid's 22 years old, 23.
Yeah, 22.
22 years old, and he's put in a situation where he's a multimillionaire, and he's never really been able to have fun because in college he didn't have any money. Growing up, he wasn't a millionaire, and he's being led. So he's throwing into triple coverage. I'd say that's 60%.
That's the reason.
So wait, are we still talking about at the strip club?
No, I'm talking about Haskins now.
Because I think that was also the case at the strip
There
club.
was a triple coverage in the strip club as well. No, but his quarterback coach is Ken Zampese.
Yeah.
There has to be there's some sort of development that needs to happen there. And P's frozen again.
Yeah, I listen. As long as you can get my voice, this is my face. This is who I am.
Lovely.
So, the thing is that we're giving these guys these elite talents, and we're blaming them for not performing well on the field. But reality, we have to blame the coaches because this kid was coached up until now.
Do you really think this is only a professional play problem? Because I think it's more than that. I think it comes down to the fact that Rivera's trying to rebuild this team and set a foundation and a way he wants his players to perform on the field, sure, but also in the locker room and everything else. He was a shit teammate when Alex Smith took over as QB and everything. He would not sit near him trying to learn stuff, ask questions the way you see, for example, Tua doing with Fitzmagic. He would just kind of mope and gloat by himself on the bench, talk to his friends, blah, blah, blah. He, obviously the strip club thing and the whole stuff, which honestly I'm totally fine with. The mask thing is stupid, but otherwise it's fine. But then the other one is, he gets pulled in the last game, doesn't go see the media, which contractually he's expected to, right? So I'm sure at one point Rivera goes, fuck this, why am I wasting my time on this guy when I can get someone else just as talented who's going to actually listen and try and respect the system?
But to Eagle's point, the reason why the strip club's a bigger deal here than it is even in most other teams is a couple reasons. One is that Ron Rivera has recently recovered from cancer, or is in recovery from his cancer treatments. So he's at higher risk from contracting the COVID-19 virus. The other thing is that he's already gotten into trouble with strippers before and was warned by the team. So it's like it's not like it's not like he got fired because he made a mistake. Yes, he made a mistake, but then he chose to make the same mistake a second time. And here's the other thing. You're not James Harden. James Harden can get away with going to strip clubs. Why? Because he's an MVP caliber player. Dwayne Haskins throws in triple coverage, both in the strip club and on the field.
So Haskins is actually saying he wasn't at a strip club. He maintains that he was at a private birthday event with his girlfriend.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know.
it's
I mean,
still
people-
private
violates the
birthday
spirit of
event
quarantine.
at a strip club.
Yeah, people go to
Yeah.
private birthday events with their girlfriends at strip clubs. So he should have said that. He should have just said that.
Well, he did
That-
say that, but
No, that I was
don't think
at
anyone
a
believes
strip
it.
club with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it
That's-
would have
that's
been
a
he
fun
would have been
topic.
he would have been given a little leeway because then now it seems like he's partying with like 10 strippers and he's going nuts and whatever. If he just said I was with my girlfriend at a strip club, then nobody can say anything.
I mean,
I people
think
could
there's still
still say
issues
something.
that. I think there's still issues that, again, if at least violates the spirit of the quarantine, if not violates the quarantine protocol that the NFL has in place in the first place. Although we've joked about the protocols all season long because the Browns, for example, played a game with 0 wide receivers, and then Terry, they lost in the most Browns way ever, where they have like a modicum of a chance to come back. And Baker Mayfield turns that it's 4th and 1. Mayfield turns his shoulder as he's doing the quarterback sneak, fumbles the ball, but the ball never hits the ground. It kind of goes backwards into the air and is caught by Kareem Hunt, who then picks up the first down. But because it's ruled a fumble and not a lateral, the offense can't advance a fumble.
What?
Yeah, in
That's a weird rule.
the fourth quarter, in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, the offensive team can't advance their own fumble
What?
because or else you can fumble on purpose.
So
And then I know, but that's a rule in the NFL, man.
Because
I didn't
someone
make
did
the
it
rule.
whenever it was, and then they scored,
Yeah.
and someone complained, and the rules committee put a rule in saying, okay, you can't win a game that way.
that is by far the dumbest rule I have ever heard in the NFL.
No, dumbest
Yeah,
rule.
you
dumbest
just
rule
hate
in the
rules,
NFL.
though.
Dumbest rule in the
You just
NFL
hate
is
rules.
when
I do.
when you fumble the ball into the end zone, and instead of the ball going to the 1, it's a touchback for the other team. I will never understand that rule. I'll never understand it. That's the dumbest rule.
There's
By the
so
way,
many.
guys, not to go back on our previous conversation, but who do you think snitched out Haskins? Someone must have snitched on him.
It was
right?
on
he-
it was on Instagram or something, no?
Oh, is that what it was? He snitched himself out.
The thing is, whether it was him or not, Haskins saw people taking the video. Like you see him interacting with the camera in the video.
Yeah.
But, like the worst thing about Haskins is the decision making. Again, the decision making on the field, terrible. Decision making in the
Yeah.
strip club. How do you let people take video of you if you're Dwayne Haskins?
I thought we were at
question.
I thought we were at 2020 butt fumble here.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Duke
My bad.
was not paying attention, and then we're back into the previous conversation.
It's good to be
I
back.
don't Duke just wants to go back to the strip club with Haskins.
Yeah.
So where does Haskins go now? I think people are saying Carolina, which is weird because Ron
No,
Rivera
he's
just
gonna
left Carolina.
Gruden is like super infatuated with him, so I feel like they're probably going to pick him up.
Well, why would they pick him up? They have Mariota, no?
Dude, they love picking up quarterbacks, man. They have a bunch on the practice squad. They must have like five quarterbacks in rotation.
Gruden's a quarterback coach, right? And at his core.
I'll tell you one thing: Gruden isn't a defensive coordinator.
Oh my god,
Because
Rod
with
Marinelli is.
the game on the line, Ryan Fitzpatrick comes in to spell for Tua, who just wasn't getting it done. Then, while getting face masks, Fitzpatrick throws the ball to the sideline, which is typically covered in
Yeah.
a fourth quarter, no timeouts, time winding down situation. Instead, they play sort of like a cloud 2 or cover 2 coverage, allowing for the sideline catch. Mac Hollins, that's right, Mac Hollins, because he's a starting receiver for the Dolphins right now, catches the ball, gets out of bounds, plus the 15 yards, and the Dolphins win against the Raiders. Pease wins the Brother Bowl. That's how it goes, baby.
I mean, I won't lie. Okay, so they get to the end zone. They, they managed to keep only 19 seconds on the clock. I still don't know how they ended up doing that. That was crazy on its own. But then, as soon as they kicked off the ball with 19 seconds left, I turned to my wife and I'm like, "They're gonna lose this fucking game."
Yeah, you can smell it.
And she's like, "Yeah, I can smell it. I've known the Raiders so long, and I know I can smell when they're about to fuck everything up. It's amazing. I should put that on my CV, to be honest."
I didn't see the ending, and I saw the first half, and I was just following on the score, and Derek Carr was in the red zone at one point for 6 minutes.
Terrible,
And he
terrible
threw-
red zone offense.
He threw it over the end zone Pass out of the end zone probably 10 times. They got a fourth down. Okay. They get to fourth down and like four on the 3, and they couldn't punch it in. It's so ugly to watch because they have so much talent across the board, and it's just really ugly to watch. And I really don't think Derek Carr is the problem. I just think that it's the entire situation that they're going through right now. And I hate to say this, but Mokan was right about John Gruden. I was like, give him a chance. He's like, no, he's gonna fuck this up. And
yeah, to put it in perspective, Josh Jacobs slides at the 1 to not score and leave time on the clock for Miami to get it back, right? And they settle for the field goal. If they scored, that's a very different game. Then
Todd Gurley got buried earlier in the season for scoring too early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, it's a lose-lose situation. There's no good situation there. You want to put points on the board no matter what. To me, again, the most egregious thing that happened was that defensive call, because we all know, like, even in Madden, we know not to give up the sideline, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's funny because the commentators were literally saying about how, well, I bet Gruden's not going to call cover 0 on this one. Ha ha, Jet / Craig Williams, right?
So it is tough.
Oh yeah, I know that was it was bizarre ending.
I wasn't finished.
Okay.
So it's been kind of a rough season in the sense that they just came off from firing their defensive coordinator last week, and I always kind of thought Rod Marinelli is kind of a good defensive coordinator. He not a great coach, but kind of a good defensive coordinator. It's a very, very bizarre call at the end of the game. But that being said, I mean, it's such a freak thing. I mean, the fact that Fitzpatrick was able to complete that pass, just that, it had to be the perfect situation. I mean, it wasn't a great play call for sure, but I mean, it really was like all of the wrong things had to happen for them to lose that game,
Yeah, definitely. The Jets go ahead and they lose any shot they had at getting the number 1 overall pick, which of course makes me happy. I want them to keep winning now so that they keep Adam Gase and don't end up with a quarterback. As a Dolphins fan, nothing would make me happier. It would be the most just thing of all time.
Apparently, though, there is talk that he's already been told internally he won't be back as head coach next year.
Wow,
Really?
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I've actually, there's something else relating to this. We're going to touch on it in rapid fire, so I don't want to get on that now. We're going to get to our interview in just 1 second, but before that, I want to give the boys an opportunity to laugh at me. Worst take of all time. Was it Pease's take that I don't think Devontae Adams is a good receiver? It's just that Aaron Rodgers is that good? No, I'm wrong. After that Monday night game, I can definitely say I'm wrong. Dude in the snow is tearing up the field. Nonsense.
I don't know why you thought he was a bad receiver.
And not the bad receiver. I just think that we didn't have proof that he was a good one because that's how good Aaron Rodgers is. He can throw, and like Robert Tonyan was a star for a second. Remember Robert Tonyan?
But for a second, not for 3 seasons.
Yeah. Well, it's just that like every other receiver that would leave the Packers, usually older to be fair, never really reached any success outside of like what happened to Randall Cobb, right? So like Randall Cobb was a guy who clearly benefited from playing with Aaron Rodgers. But no, I was completely wrong when it came to
Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, Ty Montgomery.
Yeah, all these guys. Yeah. All these guys were useless when they left.
The thing is that they all left past their prime, though.
Yeah, that is true.
Randall
I just
Cobb
think we didn't have
past
proof.
his
We didn't have
prime.
proof that they were great.
Jordy Nelson past his prime. Like, they all passed their prime.
Yeah. We're going to talk to a super, super interesting guest here. I've been very excited about this one. We're going to talk to Shangrila Rendon. Shangrila is a Guinness World Record holder. This is the first time we've had
That's awesome.
a Guinness World Record holder on our show, which I think in turn puts us in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah, are we in the Guinness Book of Records for interviewing our first Guinness Book of Record holder?
I believe that's how it works.
That's not how they work. No, not at all. Not even close.
Eagle, shut the fuck up, okay? Well, this is how it works.
This is our only chance. We gotta do it. Contact Guinness, get us in that book. You have till the end of the day. How's that?
Is it the same dudes that make
Till
beer?
the end of the year,
I
you
always
get us
wondered that.
on in a Guinness Book of World Records.
There's a weird thing happening with you two where I don't know if you're on a delay, but you're talking over each other, and it's just it's excellent stuff.
All right, so interview next.
He's always frozen, so I can't tell.
Interview next. Shut up. Welcome back to our year-end review at Hot Sauce Sports. We take a moment now to talk to a very special guest. Shangrila Rendon joins us at an ungodly hour because she's in the West Coast, making all sorts of accommodations to be with us today. She comes to us via her coaching company, FeistyFox Coaching. She is a Guinness Book World Records holder. We'll talk to her about that in a second. She's also a co-author of her story, which is called Million Dollar Story, and there's a upcoming documentary about her to be made. So we're excited to talk about all that, but we start in the one place we could. Early in the show, we talked about if we were fish, what fish would we would be. My brother and graphic artist Duke, we decided it would be a red snapper because if he spends any time in the sun whatsoever, his skin gets super red. I was a blowfish because of how much my weight will fluctuate in 1 year. Terry, you were a
Cod, because I'm tasty and fluffy.
cod because you're tasty. And Eagle, what were you?
I was a bluefin tuna because I dominate the seas.
Yeah,
There we
but
go.
I'm technically a tuna. He just stole it before me.
Well,
or
but
whatever he-
Dominating the seas.
But that's the tuna move, right? Tunas they don't let other people give them the sea; they take the sea. So Shangri-La, we obviously have a very important guest, and we want to waste your time completely by asking you what type of fish you consider yourself.
It's funny you asked that question. I'm like, I was thinking about my favorite fish. So I wanted to say salmon, but then at the same time, you're going to ask me, like, why salmon? It's just so yummy. But I think it would be much better to ask me if, like, what kind of dog would I be?
Oh,
All right.
dog was-
Well, honestly, I was thinking salmon too because you seem like the kind of person who swims upstream.
upstream.
You got a lot of challenges and you push through them. I see that in you. But let's go ahead. What kind of dog? What kind of dog would you be?
Well, I would say, actually, I would be a pug.
A pug, huh? They're
Pug in a combination of a pit bull.
cute. So Dave has a pug.
Yeah, I totally do. I wish he was here. I would show you.
Oh, you
Okay.
do?
If she comes back, I'll bring it.
Go get
The
some.
the one time you're able to keep him out of the show, he is the time we could have used him, Duke. The one time we could have used him. So Shangri-La, tell us a little bit about why it is you have the Guinness World Record, and how it is that came about.
Sure. Well, the Guinness World Record was actually, I achieved it in 2015. And honestly, I did not plan for it.
Okay.
There's silence. It just happened. So,
What's the world record for?
sure. The first Guinness World Record was the fastest female to complete 5 Ironman in 5 consecutive days. So those people who may not know about Ironman is consists of 2.4 mile swim,
Okay.
112-mile bike, and a full marathon. And what I did, I was an underdog, actually. Just that's why, like, it's a pug, a small one. I was an underdog, and I didn't plan for it. So what I did was that I did consecutive of 5 of that.
Okay.
In other words, I finished one, I woke up another day, and then finished another one. And what I wanted to do was just to finish and survive, because there's actually a hurricane at that time. It was in Mexico, and a lot of things happened. But what happened is that after a week, so I finished it. I ended up being the only female to complete it. This one was an organized race in Mexico, and I was competing with the legends. These are the legends who I've been following online or even reading them on the book. So what I did, it was 5 Ironman in 5 consecutive days. I had no idea that I made the world record at the time. I went back to work after that 5 days, went back to work as an engineer. And then by the time Friday, I'm like, okay, what to do? I'm done with the race. And I did this research by like a week after. And that's the only time when I found out that I actually made the world record. I wasn't even sure. So I asked, I messaged my coach, and I asked, Coach, look at this time. Did I just break the world record? And this was a week after I completed the race. And then he said, yes. So I'm like,
Nuts.
I
That's
was
nuts.
like, whoa, I'm actually getting goosebumps because I did not know how to swim then. And then I was afraid of the open water, and I did not own a bike. So I didn't even know how to clip unclip. So like I said, I was an underdog, and that's why I said like I was I see myself as a pug or in a little one, but then trying to bark there with the big ones. And so that was the Guinness World Record. That was 2015.
So you didn't know how to put on your clips. I got a bike this year for the first time, and I fell probably
I know.
15 times. Yeah. How many times did you fall when you first put on your clips?
You beat me, Terry.
Oh yeah, I did. Okay.
But I couldn't count it. Also, I know at least 5.
Yeah.
And one of them was actually when I was riding at the mountain, and I'm like, I could just not pedal, and like, I was like riding like, I just fell off. So yeah, I hear you. I still fell, especially when I see another cyclist just falling. I kind of like, it's like a domino effect. I saw, and then I.
So
kind of
what
understand.
the mistake that I make on my bike is that sometimes I'll unclip the wrong foot. So
Yeah.
I'll unclip my right foot, and then I'll try to plant with my left, and I'll fall left.
Yeah.
But I got used to it after a while. It's fun. It's very different, and you can reach the difference between clips and no clips for those who want to bike is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. It adds like 10 kilometers. You can go for much longer. You use your hips as opposed to only your legs. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. And actually, I think it's safer too. Safer, especially when you're actually stepping on it, because when not clipped, you would slide. Like
I mean, you say that, but then you guys also fell a bunch of times.
Yeah.
No, the first time
50.
I fell. I fell like twice the first time I put them on, and then I fell on my first long ride. I fell another 2 times, but other than that, I never really fell. Somebody cut me off once and I fell, but that's not my fault.
Yeah.
That's the sort of the dangers of biking. Shangrila, I want to ask. You have a very interesting name, and I want to know if it was a literary reference to the book Lost Horizon, or if there was another reference point for your name, Shangrila.
Well, actually, yeah, I heard about the book, and then I know there's a movie too or documentary. It was a name that was given by my parents. So basically, my dad gave a watch to my mom, and then my mom saw that there's a Prince Shangrila. And then they were asking like, hey, that's a great name. And then they look for the definition of it. It's paradise. She looked like a paradise. So yes, that was that. And then that watch is actually with my mom still. And it's
cool.
still working. It's still working. I'm 39 now. So it's still working for 39. It's crazy.
It's like the Energizer battery just keeps on going, man. You just keep on.
Like Energizer.
P said before at the beginning of the show, he's like, at this ungodly hour, it's only 8 a.m. where you are, and you're probably been up for 3 hours by now. It's your afternoon for Shangrila.
I didn't know they make 8 a.m. I thought it was only an 8 o'clock at night.
That's funny you said that. I'm kind of guilty. Yeah, I wake up early, and even my athletes would say, "Why are you awake? There's no race." Today I woke up at 4:30.
And did you go out running? Did you go biking today?
I did.
I
did. It's like to me, it's more of like a meditation. And then also it makes me feel good. And at the same time, I kind of use that as an excuse for me to sometimes either watch a movie or some things that I want to learn. It motivates me. And then so it makes me feel good. Yeah.
Yeah. 4:30. I mean, I don't think I'll ever wake up at 4:30 to go for a run, but I've waken up at 6 and gone to play golf. If that's the same thing.
Oh.
Yeah. 5:30 golf times. I don't mind.
Yeah, but golf isn't exercise.
It isn't. That's the whole point. Yeah. That's what I would do.
I've woken up at like 9 to play golf with Terry and be super late.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Is it cold golf at that time?
Well, no, right now we can't play.
Oh, okay.
Everything's closed. Yeah, but there's no. I mean, I wish I would play.
I thought so. Yeah.
I wish, but,
It's we don't get the Californian weather up in Montreal, unfortunately. Shangrila, so your background, and you mentioned this, is actually in engineering. You went to UCLA, am I right?
Yeah, I did. So I did UCI, bachelor's electrical engineer, and then UCLA for a master's degree. So engineering also.
UCI
so
is Irvine, right?
How does it feel to not only be the most athletic person in this chat, but also by far the smartest in this chat?
Oh, I don't know about smartest, but I know there's degree there. How does it feel? doesn't feel. I'm still the same person. I don't think I feel anything really. Nothing.
UCI is UC Irvine, right?
Yeah, UC Irvine. Yes.
You're from Orange County, or are you from LA?
Los Angeles. I moved to Orange County. To me, when I was growing up, it's more of like, my parents wants me to like get my degrees. It's the school. It's the, get a lot of money. And my parents are engineers, so I'm like, okay, what do I do? Maybe follow them. And that's how I ended up. And yeah, as a female, like, okay, I'm a female. I need to compete with men. And I need to show that I got something. And I thought I go to this universities and get my master's. Then like, here you go, accept me.
So,
So you're
how did that
just-
eventually turn into a fitness passion? I guess.
Okay. Well, how did it turn? Well, I started off honestly. I started off not really being athletic, so I just didn't want to gain weight. That's where I started off, and I only started 15 minutes running on a treadmill. And then when I saw like I was in the treadmill, regular gym, I'm like, oh my God, that girl is running 30 minutes. How does she do it? How does she do it? I'm like, okay, let me increase. Oh my goodness, I'm doing 20. And that's where I started. And then, I just went through, what is this one? A staircase.
somebody touched the settings. It wasn't me this
God
time.
damn it! Which one of you does that every
Are we
time?
going to repeats now? Or like 4 repeats? I'm not
No, you
ready for this
It
one.
doesn't change. It doesn't change anything for the production, so we can continue talking.
Okay. All right. I like it though. There's two of me. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted.
So when I get on a treadmill, I run for 4 seconds, and then I'm like, I don't want to do this ever again.
I bet I was like that too. Well, so I was just running, but then I got into it more and actually running a full marathon because I wanted to recover from my past. So I was sexually assaulted at 24 years old. And that's where I was trying to finish my degree and I wanted to have my time for myself. And that's how I started running. And then I started meeting crazy people, doing a lot more. I'm like, oh, maybe I could do that. It's just like out of curiosity. And then, like when I finished, I was doing the engineering. When I finished my master's degree, I'm like, okay, now what? I'm like always going for like, what's next? Or how can I be better at a certain field? And then when I get into it, I'm like, how can I see it more of like a project or like I want to be best. I want to be better at it. And that's where I ended up studying it, getting a lot of certifications, and people see it in my result, and that's where the coaching come into play. I followed my passion basically. I think that's like, or where I'm happy. That's where I'm at right now.
I find that people. Sorry,
Go ahead,
Peace.
Dave.
You go, Peace. I was
Okay,
lost.
so man, doing this show on Skype is not as easy as doing in the studio.
Yeah.
Shangrila, you mentioned a bit of your past, and I want to say it's commendable, definitely, that you found sort of like a coping mechanism in a healthy one, an exercise. And so many people fall down other paths, and I believe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a little bit in that in your history as well. So anyone who's dealing with that today, what advice can you give them to go from sort of some more destructive tendencies to turning that into something into, like I said, a more positive coping mechanism?
Sure. Well, actually, it took me a long time. I would say at least 10 years, wherein I was living two faces, or I was showing two persona. One is the one that's self-destructive. I had alcohol addiction, eating disorder. I had PTSD, depression. And then the other side is me, of more of like, hey, I'm the best. I got it all covered. I have engineering. I have master's degree. I manage people. So there's two personas. It took me 10 years, at least 10 years. But what I've done is I continue to tap on what I need in terms of professional help. So I had behavioral therapist, psychiatrist when I was sexually assaulted. It took me a while to open up to a lot of people because of not trusting people. But I took advantage of at least one person that I can open up to. That would be definitely my mom, wherein I open up. So to those people who are actually, in this low point or rock bottom, my suggestion is that I know accept that it could take a while, but don't give up. Hang in there, and at least open up with just one person, the closest person that you feel there's like a slight chance to trust. And to me, it was my mom.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
definitely
tough.
inspiring.
It's tough, and it's good to have somebody to talk to. And if you,
Oh yeah,
most people are too scared to just open up to anybody, and it's always good to, if you can't open up to anybody, you're going to internalize it, and it's going to cause a lot more damage than what the actual event was.
yeah. And I think one of them is one of my goals, or not. I didn't even know it was a goal, but because of what I've learned with the therapist or all my sessions with them, is that I need to be happy. Then that was the time when after I was sexually assaulted, that was the time, like, it's about me, not on other people's, like, what they want for me. It's about, like, my happiness. So I started looking, okay, what makes me happy? My parents told me, like, get a lot of money, get your degree, and I did that, but I wasn't happy. So I opened up, like, really little by little, because I was scared too. So, but it was hard, and when I realized and learned of how to feel and not numb myself, wherein I allowed my emotions to come out and know more about Shangrila, meaning I wanted to study Shangrila. I want to love myself. So those are the things that has been important, because until now, that's what I do. There's a bug. And that's what that's so cute. So that's what I do. It's more of like, am I gonna be happy? And even like right now, I have that project. Sometimes it gets hard, and I'm like, okay, am I still happy? And if I'm not, do I really want to go through this one? Or is there any other way that I can go through it wherein not sacrificing my happiness or what I'm passionate about?
Are these touched on at all in your book, in the documentary?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's cool that you've had these avenues to be able to sort of share your story and to help other people. Because look, we can tell that with your coaching, helping other people is very important. Can you give us a tidbit about your book, and then
Sure.
a tidbit about your documentary? Sort of help you promote it so other people can learn and
Yeah.
benefit from your story.
Definitely. Thank you, Peace. So, the dream that I have is actually to have a voice. And that's why I started dreaming about having a book, and which was 5 years ago. So now what I wanted to share to you guys is that this is the book, $1 Million Story. I've co-authored, and actually it's my first book I've co-authored it, and it became the best selling in Amazon. And it's $1 Million Story. And then what's good about it, for those who doesn't like reading, who could fall asleep probably, there's also an Audible or audiobook. It's available in Audible now too. It just got released last month. And the next thing is also, you guys can visit me with my website. There's one website is that FeistyFoxCoaching.com that you mentioned, Peace. And then there's also ShangrilaRendon.com, which is, definitely that will have a lot of updates, my social media. And then also the next one is the documentary. So the documentary film that will come out next year, which is actually in 2 days. I mean, sometime next year, that will have the story, more of the life story of my past, how I did it, and also the Beyond Myself project that I just did recently, which is actually my second world record. We only completed that last December 2nd of this year. So it was October 30 to December 2nd. It was my second world record that I achieved, not just on my own, but with a team of volunteers, while raising funds for nonprofit organizations empowering women, individuals struggling still with PTSD, abuse, and underprivileged children.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. I'm ordering the book right now on Amazon.
Thank you.
Can you give us like a story, something that people can expect in the book or documentary?
Sure. So in the documentary film, it actually shows my life story of how I turned negativities into something positive. What I've been doing is that I told myself back in 2015 when I realized how blessed I am. I said, like, you know what? Yes, I can motivate. You can do this one, But that's like everyone can say that. To me, it's more of like showing it in action. So what I've done since 2015, after I did the world record, the Guinness World Record, is that I want to show to people that even though me, I want to be the living person to be the proof that even though me who was abused as a child from 5 years old to 19 years old, someone who had suicidal ideation in my teen years, and I'm glad I'm alive still, and someone who had been diagnosed with PTSD at 24 years old after being sexually assaulted and not getting justice, someone who had been in severe depression, alcohol addiction, eating disorder, someone who actually hated the world, like seriously, I hated the world. I was able to turn all those things into positive of who I am now. Someone who is actually very passionate of helping a lot of individuals. And as of now, like I just really want to help people because I know how it felt. I still know how it felt back then when I was rock bottom, when I just didn't care about myself. I was, I was living in my car because I just didn't care about myself. And I didn't care whether I'm dead next day. But now that's not the case. To me,
Yeah.
the way I see it, it's like, what can I do right now? So if tomorrow is my end, like my end of life, I'll tell myself I lived my life and I'm happy and I did my best. So that's how I live right now. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm so happy to be here with you guys, because the more I speak and have the voice, the more I can help individuals. And, it was one of the things that was hard for me to do, before in the past, because, hey, even my parents didn't understand. You have master's degree in engineering. You have, you are earning so much. You're very stable. Why are you living your career in engineering? Because I said, I want to help. I think I can be of more of help and be the person I want to be if I'm coaching wherein I'm actually doing my own projects, just like what I did.
How many people are you coaching now? How many people do you have in your
Oh,
program?
right now it's actually I have assistant coaches as well. So yeah, it actually I have scaled about at least I would just say at least 100.
Oh, nice.
100, and it's not just in California.
Mhm.
It's not just in California. It's in and outside United States, at least in triathlon and endurance sports. And what's great about it is because when I coach, it's more beyond than triathlon. I go into their mindset, and if I see, subconsciously that they're doing something that they don't really want to do, and they're doing it just because of achievement, I tell them straight up. I said, "Are you really gonna be happy about it?" I'm looking more of the, their life. It's more of life coaching, honestly. I do
Yeah.
more because I care so much. I
Of
care so
course.
much. I just really want them to be happy as a person, not just as an athlete.
Well, you've been
Well,
there. You know what it's like, right?
Well,
Yeah.
Shangrila, it's been nice for you to share your story here. We're generally more of a comedic podcast, but once in a while we see a guest out there where we're like we just need to share this story because it's so impressive and because it can help so many people.
Thank
So we definitely want to thank you for coming on today, for being our last guest of the year, and
you.
for leaving such a mark on the podcast because this is absolutely great. We look forward to talking to you again.
Thank
Remember, buy the book, watch the documentary, follow Shangri-La, and if you're in the LA area and beyond,
Yeah.
FeistyFox Coaching,
Message
and where
me.
you want to find her.
Yeah. I'll be in California. So,
Enjoy
message
it.
me. I would love to meet anyone who came out here, especially you guys.
Well, as soon as we can, as soon as we can travel again, it'd be great. It would be
We
great.
have an intern. He lives in California.
Yeah,
So
actually,
we
that's
sent him there.
All right.
Yeah.
great. Thank you very much for joining us, Shangri-La. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Awesome chat with Shangri-La Rendon, where we had to hold back from our normal comedic selves. It was, look, once in a while we like to talk to people who may have a more serious take on life and just remind us sort of that there's balance. More than anything, we like to talk to interesting people, and Shangri-La was very interesting. So super happy she decided to waste some of her very valuable time with us. Guys, 2020 has been a tough year. it's been a terrible year. And so everyone at the end of the year does sort of 2020 in review, and they talk about the best of this and best of that. We got some terrible lists of 2020. Duke wasn't here for pre-show, so just so you know, Duke, there's going to be some sound and imaging you can't hear. Eagle will tell us when to start talking again.
That's it.
Like now?
No,
I'm
not
gonna
now.
talk Okay, I can talk now though if you want.
We don't want.
Am I allowed to talk now?
Who wants to start?
Okay, I'll start. So I noticed, this is what I noticed. I noticed that a lot of the streaming services, they just took advantage of the fact that everybody's home all the time, and they just put out anything. And when I mean anything, I mean anything. There is the absolute worst TV shows and worst movies on Netflix and on Crave and whatever it is. And I will say, okay, I might get some heat for this. Have you guys seen the movie Hush?
I haven't
No,
seen it yet.
never
No.
saw it.
Okay, starts off okay. Premise decent. The movie is awful. And if anybody says it's good, they can suck my asshole. That's one of them.
Okay.
2, Christmas movies. We don't need any more. Especially those Hallmark ones, like this one called Night Before Christmas that I watched with my girlfriend.
Mhm.
It's
Like
Night, but with-
KNIGHT?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eagle, you know what I'm talking about, I guess?
Yes. It's basically it's a teleporting night bullshit or whatever it is, where they stole the
Yeah.
plot from that 1995 movie, essentially, where it's like a night in New York or something.
It's a futuristic medieval Christmas movie. What the fuck are we talking about?
So there was 2 that came to mind as soon as you said that. 2 terrible streaming things that happened this year. One was early in the pandemic, because Tiger King was great. It was funny. We all had a laugh. It became a sensation. But then they tried to like double down and like, let's make even more money from this. And Joel McHale interviewed the random people on Zoom. And it was just like Joel McHale signed up for a payday. Like he
Yeah, for
did
sure.
not want to be there. Nobody wanted to be there. Nobody wanted to watch it. It
No,
was
the thing is,
god-awful.
Joel McHale pitched that idea.
Oh, because he wanted money.
Well,
No
I know,
kidding.
because he's like, I think we need to follow up with these people.
It was so bad.
He
It was
was
the worst thing I ever
on.
watched.
He was on a podcast. He was on Part of My Take, and he said it. And he was like, "Yeah, I was curious to know, so I reached out to Netflix and I said, listen, why don't we just do this?" And they're like, "Sure, do it." And he did it.
But he
$1 million
kept asking
later.
different people the same questions, and they
Yeah.
were just getting the same answers basically from from different people. But
Easiest $1 million he'll ever made.
the other one, in relating to Christmas movies, Terry, you know, my wife and I, we're big on Christmas movies. We're big on Christmas. We're big on any holiday. We love celebrating. Around this time of year, we watch a lot of Christmas movies. My wife is a huge Dolly Parton fan, and there is a Christmas musical that came out on Netflix called Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square. It is the most giant turd you've ever seen in your life. Terry, think of the biggest shit you've ever taken. Now add 80 times more shit, because that's how bad this movie was. Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square.
So would you say it would make her quit her 9 to 5?
Dude, like
Oh God.
Boo!
I wish I could say that the humor in this movie was better than that. That would have been the best joke in that movie. It's a musical with no premise. There's like a villain who's just trying to take over this Christmas town for no reason.
Is Dolly Parton the villain?
No. She's kind of like the useful angel type character who saves the day. We didn't get to the ending because I watch every movie to the ending. I even watched Justice League to the end, which was garbage. And I couldn't get past the first 20 minutes of this movie.
So that's the thing, is that if the movie's that bad, I would like to be a villain in all Christmas movies. You know, like in every Christmas movie you see me, you know I'm the villain. Like I want to be that guy.
Like an Alan Rickman type. Hans
I don't know
Gruber.
Right.
who's Alan Rickman.
He
Snape?
played Hans
Huh.
Gruber.
Professor
Oh,
Snape?
come on, Terry.
Yes.
Professor
Yes,
Snape?
Professor Snape. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Good
who he
call.
is, not Hans Gruber.
He's Hans Gruber.
He's
Relax.
Hans Gruber first and Snape second. My 2020 worst of when it comes to movies is actually Disney Plus as a whole service. They actually launched November 2019, right in time to monetize for the whole pandemic. Not sure if
Maybe
they
they
really
started.
planned it that way, but that's kind of what happened. And then they got smart about it. They're like, hey, you know what we can do? Instead of charging $8.99 a month or $90 for the year for this service, why don't we charge $35 to watch Mulan, a remake of a movie where they take out the whole point of the dragon, which makes it awesome. So fuck you, Disney, for trying to milk your customers for everything they're worth. Stop trying to kill kids at your park.
Also, they did a weird thing coming out with the Disney Plus app, which, you know, there's The Mandalorian, there's some good stuff on there, but they did it before they had all the licenses back from their own movies. Like they still had a lot of stuff on Netflix and on Amazon Prime and all these other services. So like when I first got it, if it wasn't for Mandalorian, there wasn't a reason to keep Disney Plus because everything was already still everywhere. Now it's getting better as they're getting access to their own library, which is a weird thing to not see coming. But yeah, it's getting better. But man, I agree with Eags. Like the first year of it was kind of rough as compared to like Prime and Netflix.
So on my end, there's a lot of really bad stuff out there right now. Like Terry said, I mean, especially with streaming nowadays, there's just so much, right? But I think there was one TV show that was really the worst. Okay, and I'll just preface it with this. I love Steve Carell. I think he's a great actor. I've loved him in The Office. Anything he's in, any movie he's in is great. But fucking Space Force, man. Are you serious?
I think it was that bad. I think
it was so bad. It was like cringe. Like
I'm with you,
There were
Duke.
moments that were good, but in general, it was the most cringe-worthy type show. You know.
I remember getting
the cringe was the idea, though. Honestly, I think they were just playing into that, and people expect it was kind of marketed as The Office in space, but it wasn't that. It was a different type of show completely. I thought it was okay. It's not my favorite show. I thought, again, if you watch Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square, you'd rather watch Space Force 1,000 times.
I just didn't get what the comedy was for. It felt like it was comedy that was for people that maybe liked Veep, but also like The Office, but are also boomers. The whole thing felt like crickets the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't think I laughed like once.
The concept and the teaser that they did a long time ago, I loved. And then I saw the actual trailer when they launched it. I'm like, this looks terrible. I'm not watching this.
It was better than the trailer. And honestly, you needed to get past the first couple episodes because all Greg Daniels shows are like that where they change over time. And it was okay. It was okay. My terrible list for 2020 is, everyone was bragging about the DIYs and the cool stuff they did at home in the pandemic. Like, ooh, I learned how to make this cake. And I was curious about you guys for the stuff you tried at home that really didn't work out. Like, what was it that missed the mark for you guys?
Terry, go for it first. Start, Terry.
No, go.
No. I'm actually trying to think about it. So you go for it.
So I'll start. You guys know I'm a pretty good cook, so a lot of the cooking stuff was easy for me, and then trying different ideas, and yeah, it was cool. And my wife got to try some stuff that I never cooked before. I hadn't cooked for her before, so she liked it. Did some woodwork in terms of restaining some furniture. That was okay. I also suck at doing very simple home stuff, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna learn how to do some of the stuff. So I changed some of the light switches and power outlets in my house. To this day, I have a light that's been on in my backyard since the beginning of the pandemic because I rewired it. And now if I turn off that light, it turns off my wine fridge and my beer keg, but the light remains on. So I need to keep that switch on to keep the fridges on. But now I have this like floodlight in my yard, which is on 24 hours a day.
Eventually your light's going to burn out.
But dude, I was hoping that would happen. No, this light's like meant to run for years, as it turns out. And like my mother-in-law who lives with us in the basement apartment, she's freaking out because it's like right over where her bedroom is. And I've been saying I'm gonna try and figure out how to fix this. I can't. I don't know what to do.
Why don't you turn off the switch, take out the light bulb, and then turn it back on?
That's actually not bad, Terry. For that's the first time I heard anything smart come out of your mouth.
In order to do that, though, I need to buy a ladder because I don't own a ladder. So I think I'm just gonna have Eel come and take care of that.
Yeah, you go, just climb the wall.
The other thing was my wife saw some YouTube video where it was like, "Hey, we can make our own laundry detergent," and I was like, "Sure, why not? We're home." So I bought all these products, and then like after like buying all the products it takes to make your own laundry detergent, I turned to her and I said, and this is before we even made it, and it was fine. It worked okay. I turned to her and said, this costs 90 times more than like the laundry detergent. Like I don't even understand how they're able to make it for so cheap. We're never doing this again.
What are the ingredients?
Oh my God, I don't know, man. A bunch of different soaps and smelling agents and cleaning agents and rinses and and like it ends up being
Why?
like
That's why they
different
do it.
boxes
They
of
make
stuff.
it easy for us.
I know.
They did
was
it
just-
themselves.
She saw it. She saw it on Pinterest, which is the bane of every man's existence. If you're married, Pinterest is the worst. She saw it on Pinterest. We did it. It was terrible.
So
Who's next?
DIY for me means you do it yourself. Like I'm pointing at you,
Yes.
not me.
Yeah.
I'm not doing shit.
So what did you do, Terry? That didn't work out.
A DIY.
Mhm.
Okay, actually, we went apple picking.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
and
kind of
apple-
DIY.
Oh yeah, so we went apple picking. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make fucking jam.
Okay,
I'm gonna make the sickest apple jam. It's gonna be world renowned. I'm gonna give it to everybody. Whatever. I have a bag of apples I bring back, probably about 50 of them. Those
Mhm.
apples are still in my fridge.
they're not good anymore.
No, absolutely not. And I went apple picking in I want to
October?
say October, early
Yeah.
October. So yeah, that's my do-it-yourself project of the year.
For me, I was trying to use the time to do more creative things. So normally I'm very boxy and squaresy. Ironically, the windows right now are boxes and squares, but that's beside the point. But anyway, so I wanted to do something more creative. So I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy like those little miniature figurines and everything that I always do like my role-playing games with, and I'm going to paint them. I'm going to start making little things. So I got a 6-pack of goblins. These goblins are not even an inch tall, okay? They're super tiny. And then I'm like, I'm going to get the paint for it. So I got a whole bunch of different paints to actually do it, and I got a paintbrush, a nice one. And I've been staring at them for the past few months because I'm so intimidated to start. Because I'm like, what do I do first? Like, what do I start with? How much paint do I have to put? Is the paintbrush too small? Where do I do this? What colors do I want where? And I've literally psyched myself out from even starting the project.
Oh, Eags, you're gonna appreciate this. I have had for the last 7 years a 3D version of Settlers of Catan. All I need to do is paint it.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
It's been unpainted for 7 years now.
What do you mean
I believe
3D
it.
version?
It was done with a 3D printer, so the different hexagons have different textures. So like
Plains are flat, the mountains are tall and everything. So there's a topology.
The only time I've ever
Topology?
played angulation.
Nope.
The only time I've played Settlers of Catan was at your old condo,
yeah.
and I didn't like it.
Yeah, same.
Listen, it's not for everyone. Some of us are
It's
geniuses.
just a shitty version of Risk. That's the way I see
No. Risk is a boring version of everything.
it. Well, not the one I have. I have the
Um,
Game of Thrones version. Pretty fucked
I
up.
have a pretty epic story actually. If you want to talk about DIY. Okay, so a bit of a backstory. I used to have a functional passenger mirror on my car. Unfortunately, due to a circumstance, the car, won't say who was driving, but backed up the car, hit the mirror on the garbage can and broke, right? So I've been trying to figure out a way to do this, in a way where I don't have to pay $1,000 at a dealership. So one morning I had this brilliant idea to go outside with duct tape and with a rope. About a half hour later, I was totally unsuccessful at trying to tape it together with rope. And my neighbor, who always has something smart to say, he's like, "Hey, looks like you're having some problems there. You think?" Nothing was working. I mean, it was cold, so the duct tape wasn't working. I tried using rope, and you know what? It's still broken. I still don't know what to do.
What's your worst of list, Duke?
Okay, so I thought it would be good to go with because there's a lot of them, but worst sports moment of 2020.
Yes.
I'm gonna start with mine because I think it's pretty epic. Novak Djokovic. Do you guys remember what
That's my
happened?
runner-up.
with him?
Yes,
I
yes,
remember
yes, yes,
this.
yes, yes.
Yeah, where he was angry, hit the ball behind him, and
Oh, yeah.
the back judge had this huge fit and was pretending like she had a heart attack.
Well, she got nailed in the throat, but
She
yeah,
got
she
blasted.
overreacted for sure.
She did.
The
And she
worst
was
part,
definitely milking it.
the reason why it's a bad sports moment, I agree with you, is because he got disqualified from the game because of it.
Yeah.
Like, take a
Absolutely.
point away. I don't know, but the guy's the number one in the world. People are watching for him, but I guess rules are rules.
My favorite sports moment or worst sports moment
worst.
of 2020 is Game 4 World Series, Rays Dodgers. Single to center field, I guess right field, bobbled, thrown in. dropped by the catcher trying to make the tag on a runner who himself had tripped and tried to make his way back, and then dives in for the run to win the game at the end there. Comedy of errors, literally, in the World Series.
Mine's the other side of that spectrum. I just, as soon as you said worst sports moment, the only thing I can think of was the death of Kobe Bryant. It's crazy that happened this year. It feels like it happened like 8 years ago at this point, just because of how many things that happened. But I'm not one who's particularly touched by a celebrity death. These are people, and they mean more to their families generally than they mean to us. But for some reason, the Kobe Bryant death really, really did affect me. I think it's just seeing someone pass at that age who has a young family and someone who's been tied to sort of, just by virtue of his athleticism to feel immortal and to be taken at such a young age was just, I think, hard for a lot of people to deal with.
Seems like it was so long ago.
One there.
Yeah.
You got a funnier example there?
Seems like it was so long ago. Worst sports moment for me. Fuck, there has been a lot of them for sure.
So many bad ones.
But like,
Dallas hired Mike McCarthy, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good. There's also Tiger Woods on the 12th hole.
Oh, hitting a 10.
Like
that's
10
pretty
shots.
bad.
You guys remember that at the Masters?
Yeah.
3 shots in the wall. I think that one for me, because it was the first Masters where I really started watching. It was the first Masters I actually watched. Like I used to watch the highlights and stuff, but now because I'm into golf this year, I watched the Masters, and when I saw Tiger go 3 times in the water, 1, I thought that I was just as good as Tiger because I probably would have done the same thing. 2, it normalized him a bit, and I was like, the fact that he came back and he parred or birdied every single hole after that was even crazier to me, and it was weird to see such a legend pull a Terry Tam,
Also, recently in F1, Romain Grosjean hit a wall and almost died in a fiery explosion in the Bahrain Grand Prix. That's also another lovely one from the year. My worst of for 2020 is actually watching other people fail at taking care of themselves in the simplest way, which is feeding yourself. Because obviously restaurants were closed for a lot of people. They decided, kind of what Pizzo was saying, do it yourself, but much more, I'm going to learn how to cook. And we all know learning how to cook is not very easy when you don't have anyone to teach you. So I'm sure we've all seen people do bad things. I have an example here. So a new trend became sending your cooking videos to Gordon Ramsay, who will then criticize you for what you're doing. So here's
the steak? No, really? So you should season it first before you put it in a cage. Oh my god, it looks like my grandma's hip replacement. What are you doing? No, come on, how'd you colour a steak in a cage? Seriously, come on, man. Stop playing Connect 4 with your bloody steak. What the frick?
Get your temperature probe in there.
You don't poke it first.
Alright.
So that's just an example of Gordon Ramsay giving a guy shit for putting a steak in a cage and doing the ordering all wrong, where he's like, you season it first, not beforehand. Oh, you don't poke it like that, this and that, you donkey, the usual stuff. So I wanted to know, not you guys specifically, but any people you know that have tried their hand at cooking that you've seen, like either Instagram stories or Twitter posts or Facebook, everything, or just videos you've seen on YouTube, and you say, wow, they must suck at this.
I saw somebody post, I don't know if it was from this year or not, but I'm pretty sure it was. It was a girl, she posted a picture, and she's like, I can't wait to try this medium rare chicken. And she cooked the chicken medium rare.
Nice. Smart move. I made a sandwich yesterday that was legit just a piece of white bread and a slice of cheese in it. And I felt really depressed after because
that's a cheese sandwich right there.
Cheese sandwich right there.
Not even toasted.
Add some tomatoes and a little bit of mayonnaise. You got yourself a fucking sick
nothing
sandwich.
in there.
Or
I just felt
that's
empty
just
inside.
Firefest, man. Firefest style sandwich. It's great. It's
By the way,
historical.
guys, it's funny. We're talking about worst sports moments. We totally missed the worst one of them all. Was Rudy Gobert touching all of the microphones and then getting COVID, and then shutting down the NBA.
And then like they didn't know back then like what to do with COVID, so they just burnt the microphones. I see a lot of stuff, Eagle, like when it comes to the cooking stuff, like just because again I do know how to cook, so people are like, oh, check out this super easy thing to do, and I'm just like, yeah, what did you think it was? Fucking magic? Like you take the ingredients, you do what you're supposed to do to them, and then it's cooked. It's as simple as that. I did have one thing though, because I'm usually like really big on research, making sure I do it properly. Gnocchi is an Italian pasta that incorporates potato into the dough, and we've done it with butternut squash, a whole bunch of other starches. My wife and I decided we're going to do it with yuca.
What the fuck is that yuca?
Woof.
A yuca it's like a potatoy. It's eaten in South America. They use it like fries, and it's a vegetable that resembles a potato.
It's a Mexican potato.
But the texture is not at all the same. And when you boil it, it instantly disintegrates and becomes a pile of mush. So that night we had mush and sage butter. Sage butter was delicious.
Well, now we know.
That
was 2020 year in review.
There we go.
That's pretty good.
So that leads us to rapid fire. It's our last one of the year. Eagle, set us up.
All right, wide-eyed. Adam Gaze has now been rumored not only to lose his job with the Jets, but actually move in their division to a potential coaching candidate for the New England Patriots quarterbacking position, because that's what he's good
always
at.
Get jobs. What has this guy ever done as a quarterback coach? Can I know?
He coached Peyton Manning, who needs no coaching, and won.
Right.
Jay Cutler.
Yeah, he ruined Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler used to be fun.
He ruined Ryan Tannehill.
Ruined Sam Darnold.
He definitely ruined Ryan Tannehill, because look at what Tannehill's doing now with Mike Vrabel, defensive-minded Mike Vrabel as the head coach. He's wrecking that division.
I just don't get it, man. He must have the most sex tapes on all the owners.
Is it
No, I
just,
don't
is it
think
just
it's
because
that.
he coaches like safety and coaches are like desperate to not turn the ball over? Is that what that is? Because
it's 100%.
nothing he does is exciting. Everything happens within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage, and it's boring.
Yeah.
It's so awful to watch.
I will agree with Terry though. It would be a lot more fun if he had sex tapes on everyone.
It's
And
got
if that was the case, which sex tape would you want to watch?
The owner of the Ravens,
John Elway's. I want to see what he does with that chin.
Oh, he's got a huge head. The owner of the Ravens, what's his name? Fuck, Eagle, produce the name for me. Anyway, he's
Ravens
a
owner?
Yeah,
Biscotti.
He's a
Steve
good looking,
Bisciotti, yeah.
He's a good looking gentleman.
I know. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna stick with Elway because I want to see if he's as hung as his horse face would let you think.
Al Davis, because nobody has a haircut like that and doesn't have a massive fucking horn.
You're talking about Mark Davis.
Mark Davis.
About Mark Davis.
Nobody has
vintage
that
Al
haircut.
Davis, I want to watch that one. A vintage Al Davis sex tape. A post-mortem Al Davis sex tape.
But nobody has
Amazing.
a haircut like Mark Davis and doesn't have a massive horn in his pants. 100%.
I mean, it's going to be easy. Robert Kraft and Dan Snyder are already on video. Next, lights, Kamara action. Alvin Kamara scored 6 touchdowns last week. It feels like, by the way, now since we're all in our finals of fantasy, all the players knew it was the last week and fucking stepped up their game. Like, I don't know about you guys, but my team
100%.
dominated this week. But yeah, so he scored... Sorry,
Go ahead.
Yeah, so he scored 6 touchdowns. The only person preventing him from scoring a 7th was Taysom Hill, the greedy bastard.
Piece of shit.
Yeah. It was funny because, by the way, the first ever Hot Sauce Sports Fantasy Football Champion, Peace Del Reese.
Wow.
I had Alvin Kamara on my team. It was so fun to win that championship on Friday night. There's never even a football game on a Friday. I won on Christmas on Friday night.
So what's your?
I remember texting John because I was up against John Eamon, and I texted him. I said, "Hey man, what the fuck? I got vultured by Taysom Hill," and he was so mad.
What's your charity then? We're gonna have to donate to your charity.
So it's gonna be Alzheimer's. I'm sending it up. Actually, I sent a message this morning.
You guys are so lucky I didn't win because I would have probably just pocketed the money.
You know who I had this week? I had Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, and Mike Evans combined for a total of 125 points.
That's nuts.
Wow.
That's actually bananas.
It would have been useful if you didn't come in like 6th place.
Yeah.
7th, but whatever. I beat Mo, so it's fine. Cheese Cowboys. After beating Miami, Oklahoma State. Wow.
Oklahoma.
Coach Mike Gundy was covered in Cheez-Its after the game. Would you rather be covered in Cheez-Its or Gatorade as the winning celebration for the coach?
Wait, Cheez-Its, no cheese.
No,
I mean,
Cheez-Its.
Eags, we're all a bunch of fat fucks. We're gonna choose food any day.
How
You can't
awful
eat
would
them.
it be
You're
if
being
they
like
dumped,
flooded with them.
A cheese is a cheese cracker, Terry. They're
Yeah, I
dry.
know, but I thought he meant cheese whiz. I'm like, how awful would it be if you dumped cheese whiz all over
That would be
something?
gross.
That'd be
That would be
awesome,
gross.
That sounds delicious, man. I won't lie.
It would take
Um,
4 years. To
Put
get
that
out
in
of
a
your hair.
sandwich, little tomato.
Oh, yeah.
Wipe it right off.
I actually discovered Cheez-Its for the first time this year. This
What?
summer, I went to a chalet with my my godson and his parents, and they always keep a stash of Cheez-Its around because it's one thing that shuts him up. And there was a couple nights. There was a couple nights where my friend was like, "Yo, the kid's crying. Cheez-Its time." Then they went over to find an empty box because Peas had smashed an entire box of Cheez-Its because that shit's delicious. There's not an ounce of actual food in them, but holy shit, that stuff's amazing.
So you ate the whole box of Cheez-Its that they were
times.
saving for the kid?
3 times.
Worst Godfather ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
add me to the worst of 2020 list.
Next, hell of a wrister. The Chicago Blackhawks are having a pretty bad week. First, they announced that Jonathan Taves isn't going to be back with an unspecified injury. All the best wishes for his
COVID.
return. But then, nope, not COVID. But then next,
COVID.
Kirby Dach suffers a wrist injury, and some of the pictures that are coming out about it are pretty bad. This is where I give a warning for anyone who doesn't like looking at pictures of stuff, because that's
Is that
a
the
fucked
dude
up
that- is
wrist
that
if
the
I
dude that
ever
the
saw
filthy
one.
Russians injured.
What?
No, they didn't
Is
play
that the
against
guy
the
that the
Russians.
Russians injured?
They didn't play against the Russians.
Okay, there was this dude that. Oh no, it's not him.
This
I
is
think
Kirby
Dach,
Dach. He
DAC.
plays for Canada. He's the captain for Canada.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
his-
yeah. The filthy Russian.
Oh yeah, it was in the preseason. You're right. Yeah, it was in the preseason. He got checked into the boards, and then people thought that he kind of cut his hand or something, and because he took his glove off right away.
Oh,
But
it's terrible.
that's disgusting. And this guy played full season in the NHL last year, so he didn't have to. He didn't have to
Is
play.
that a
But
broken?
he's like,
It's a broken wrist, right?
Broken
It's like
wrist,
completely
yeah,
broken.
he's out 4 to 5 months. Yeah.
I had a wrist injury once, and I got an X-ray of my wrist. Have you guys ever seen what a wrist looks like in an X-ray?
Yes.
It's like 8 separate little balls. I don't know. It looks so delicate. I don't know how we're not breaking our wrists at all time. Like when you masturbate, how does your wrist stay in place? Because it looks so flimsy.
Even your ankle is the same thing. It's all these little tiny interconnecting things, and you're like, how does this work?
Yeah.
And like your ankles especially, it supports all of your weight. So like, how are Terry and I standing at any point?
Oh, I have no more ligaments in my ankles. Like they're
Yeah,
finished.
me neither. My ankles are finished. We know this already. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was my thing. Was seeing that wrist, I was like, yeah, makes sense because honestly, it looks like someone breathed on it.
Last one, Bad Santa in real life. Police have shut down a Christmas mall kiosk after an intoxicated Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus, and the helpful elf decided to have a threesome in public. Not exactly
Nice.
spreading the Christmas spirit as you would expect, but the kids loved it.
It's like, first of all, they look like they're related.
Oh, they are for sure related.
For sure related. Eagle, if you can get the picture up.
Yeah, let me try and get it.
Like you don't look that way without fucking your cousin.
Exactly. And it's like, pick a time and place.
What they did.
They did.
Perfect
Santa's
time.
workshop, middle of the day, whatever mall it was.
My question was was it in the middle of like the lineup and they decided to just
apparently,
go
so
about
the
it?
reason why the cops were called is that parents noticed what was happening and called the cops because they were in line waiting. So kudos to Santa because he lasted long enough for the line to be to notice. Being a drunk mall Santa kind of feels like a rite of passage. And I love this picture because the elf looks legitimately shocked. He's like, I can't believe I'm involved in this.
I can't believe my dad and my mom
The
banged me.
quote in the article is amazing. It's Miss Claus was sitting on Santa's lap, moaning and groaning while he had his pants down and while we waited in line. The elf
Also-
started masturbating under his trousers and fondled Mrs. Claus' breasts as well as French kissed Santa Claus at the same time.
So instead of scrolling through our chat to try and find the link to this article, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get it on Google. And I Googled Santa elf threesome. And let me tell you, the results were not what I was expecting.
You should have
So-
put Santa
Yeah.
bangs wife while son blows mom.
I will
That's-
say
there's
since
gonna be a
starting
lot
the
of-
show, I don't want anyone to ever look through our Google search history because the amount of weirdness we've had to research since we started the show is nonsense. It's
She legit has herpes, right? Like her lips are full of herpes.
perhaps
Is that the problem, Duke? That's the problem.
it's kind
And-
of it's kind of like the people are like making a big deal about Haskins being in a strip club without a mask on. Like really, that's
Is
what
that the
we're focusing
problem?
on?
Yeah.
You know,
Boys, that's how we're going to end our rapid fire of 2020. Thank you all for a wonderful year. Thank you to everyone who's been on the show since the beginning. And let's have a fun 2021, shall we?
It can't get worse. Boys, thank you for everything. Again, troubling and difficult year for us, technically as well as personally. This hasn't been easy for anyone. So for those of you who have supported us, thank you for that, because it really was heartwarming to see people flocking to us during the pandemic, and a time that was difficult for a lot of podcasts and web pages. We actually saw a period of growth, and we're just really happy to get all your support. Thank you so much. Thank you to our sponsors for sticking with us during this time. Thank you to all of you who continue to support us in every way that you do. For me and Duke, we've had the opportunity to work with our dad, who writes Pops' picks in a way that we never worked with him before. I get to spend time with you guys. I love you guys. It's been awesome. Getting to meet John, Alex, the intern, who put in countless hours to make our site better. For those who have projects that are in the wings waiting for us to start in the new year, we're very excited for all of that. So thank you. If you have not done it yet, and you do feel so inclined, please do subscribe to the show. It's how we continue to do what we do. So thank you for those who have, and for those who haven't, if you're so inclined, please do so. Guys, good luck this coming year. We will definitely chat. We will be too drunk to be doing so, but we'll do it anyway. Happy New Year. Like, watch, subscribe. Eagle, play the thing that I never know how to
You've been
introduce.
listening to Hot Sauce Sports.
Bye.
Bye.